Hey, it's another episode of Mondays with Matt. Matt, it's been a full week of conversations you've been having with clients in sessions, prospective clients, even some that were disqualifying, going, hey, this school is just not a fit for us. As you think through all the conversations this week, what's top of mind for you?
A lot of times people who are struggling said, "Hey, we decided to do this approach." And then everything came from funding and budget conversations. We didn't have the funding, we didn't have the budget, we were trying to save money. The vendor
Right.
gave us a accelerated implementation plan. You name all the things. And those are all great in terms of trying to save money. But man, I was like, you actually cut out the things that needed to be done to be successful. And I think that
Hmm.
is probably the conversation that I think people need to have is that when you think about savings, and I think the quote that I said is when you are having a conversation about savings, it's usually because you don't even understand the value of what you're trying to do. I want to be able to have this conversation about savings in terms of, is it really good to cut out all the good things that need to happen in order to save money, only to realize after 12 months, after 18 months, you're about to go spend way more money to get to where you wanted to get to.
So is your basic premise then that schools during the procurement process, right, either because of how the fundamental flaws in procurement today in higher ed,
Yeah.
which is always about, hey, let's go for the low bid, price, because there's that consideration. But even outside of that consideration, there's this tendency to not know what they're really, you call it the outcome, what the outcome needs to be. And therefore, in their mind, if I'm an executive sponsor and the outcome is we have to go live on a new SIS, I can get tunnel vision to, okay, what's the bare minimum? What do we need? How do I cut out the fat and just get to a go live of a new system, right?
Yeah.
Versus you would argue that's not the outcome of spending 10 to 40 million. Is that what you're saying? Is like
Yeah.
the focus is in the wrong place. So therefore all the priorities of decision making may be right for that lane, but it's the wrong lane you were in the first place.
Yeah. And if you're focused on cutting over, just moving your legacy system into the cloud and moving your old transactions and legacy into a new platform, if that is the outcome, sure, that could be an outcome. Hey,
Then go down that lane. Yeah.
yeah. But then the question is that worth $40 million? Is that worth $60 million? And maybe it is. Maybe for some schools, they're willing to spend $60 million and then repeat what they've done and do things that probably aren't going to be necessarily the way a future ready campus will needs to operate.
The example there that comes to mind is, look, our previous system, the vendor no longer supports it. We got to move off. We've got like 6 months to get off. So in that case, maybe you go for more of a lift and shift, right?
Yeah.
And in that case, sure, we get it. But if your intent is something different, then you can't follow that path.
And to be honest with you, if it's a lift and shift, you already know the prescription. You actually don't need to have much consulting because you know exactly what you're lifting and shifting from. It isn't like, oh, I got to re-engineer what I do. No, I'm going to go do what I did in legacy. Okay, vendor, put it in exactly like I have in legacy. Like it's simple as that. I've heard project managers from
Sure.
vendors say to me, hey, Matt, all we're tasked to do is make sure that they can
Cut
do what
over.
they do last year in this new system. And my question to them was, is that what they're spending $20 million on? Is to do what they did last year in your system? And he looked at me like I was crazy. And I was challenging him because, oh my God, our software is great. No, it isn't if you're only doing legacy processes. It's not that great. You just are having a new window. I think the part of what I want to get people to realize is when you think you're saving, you're not really saving
Mm.
because you're actually going to pay for it in the end. Just ask all the schools that are in stabilization today. Just think about all the schools that the conversation they had was, now, after we've gone live, oh, now is the time we're going to really shape the way you do business. Yeah, that's not what you were sold. That's not what you
Yeah.
were told. You
There's
were
another
told that we're
hundred
going to
thousand a
accelerate it.
month. Yeah. There's another 100,000 to $500,000 a month you're spending after
Sure,
that you could have solved for much easier earlier, is your point, right?
is my point. So there's this concept of pre-work, right? and what we call pre-transformational work. Like that's
Mhm.
two different things. Pre-work for technology, all you're doing is setting yourself up to put the implementation
Right.
in some way.
What
You're
are my
thinking about
integration needs? What's our data
conversion.
structure?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's my academic structure? What project plans? Like that's pre-work, pre-planning. Don't confuse that with transformation. That isn't
No.
transformation. That's just making sure your implementation partner, vendor, client is aligned in putting in the right steps to put that implementation. But the actual savings that they think they're having is, oh, we're going to do the pre-work and it's going to be like 6 months of work or whatever it is, maybe less than that. And then they're thinking, my God, we've now planned ourselves to put
And
this in.
that's typically being called readiness, right? Even
And it's
though
not
it's
ready.
really not doing any readiness, it's just like a checklist of technology prep.
You're ready for the technology implementation, whether it's
Right.
successful or not. You're not deciding that there. You're just saying we're becoming ready to put an implementation of a software in. The readiness is
Fair
to
enough.
become ready to be successful. That readiness is not having that conversation.
And you call that pre-transformation work.
Yeah. And the reason I say that is you now have to plan your implementation or your transformation to say, hey, this is what we want to do. In the old days, we'd be like, you know what, we probably have to adopt exactly what it is, or we have to customize it to do what we do today, legacy. But the reality of it is, you should be rethinking what a campus should be doing, because that is when you will thrive. That's when you will gain the return on investment. I mean, think about the clients in the past that we've just heard about in the past 2 years. They put in HR, finance, struggling, underwater, right? They put in student right before go live. They say, yeah, no, just kidding. We can't go live because financial aid doesn't do it. We got to go back to the old vendor, the old legacy. And the thought in
Stay
my
on the
head,
old system a little bit longer. Yeah.
yeah, we'll put it. And you know what? Now we're going to spend another 3 million. We already spent 20 million. We're going to spend another 3. We're going to spend another 5. We're going to spend another 10. That school that I'm talking to you about will probably spend another 20 million and get back to a better version of their legacy system, because they've already gone back. They've already gone back
Right.
to that legacy system. Now you got to go and manage that legacy system to modernize it. Now you got to connect all the CRMs, the LMSs, all these things, Joe. That school said, oh, we're going to put this in a cost-effective way. The vendor is going to help us put this in. Just kidding. There is no savings. Sorry.
So then I think what we're picking up from you is the mistake schools are making is under the guise of saving money, they don't start with the end in mind, or they have the wrong end in mind. The end is just go live, right? That's automatic disaster waiting to happen. Because of those two things, they end up in this spending just as much, if not 2 to 3 times more. The better path is what?
So let me just clarify what it is. When I talk about savings, it isn't just about money.
Mm-hmm.
There
Oh
is
yeah, true.
incredible amount of time
Mm-hmm.
that these schools just expend and they waste. You know what? And these schools have to run a business. They have to recruit. They have to put the student, change a major. They got to do it, and they're not focused on any of that because they're trying to stay underwater, above water, right? My thought and my recommendation to schools is you have to take the time. You have to vision early. You got to have clear understanding of what you're trying to accomplish. What is your outcome? If it is just a lift and shift, if it is just moving it, you know what? I'm going to say, hey, this is what you got to do with the vendor. I'll give you the path.
Yeah.
But if you start talking to me about I have to transform, I have to have better enrollment, I need to bring credentials in, I need to think
Better
about my
student experience, right?
my
We hear
better
that all
student
the time.
experience. I need to make our campus mobile friendly. I need, like, if you start talking to me about agentic AI and all these things, well, I'll be honest, agentic AI doesn't exist in any of the SISs in the way that it needs to happen, right? So we need to have a different conversation, because that isn't going to require a 20 or $40 million spend. It may require 500,000, 200,000, a
Right.
million, whatever the
But a
breadth.
fraction of what you think you need in
Yeah.
order to deliver the better experience. So your point is this part of the conversation is what you call the pre-transformation planning
Conversation. Yep.
to vision and set a true new north that's better than, oh, we got to go live. Because
Got to
the,
go
oh, we
live.
got to go live is a flawed mindset. So what's the outcome you're looking for, or outcomes you're looking for? List them, and then say which of these are solved by a new SIS and which of them really don't require an SIS at all.
Yeah, and I think what you will realize is it's probably not even your SIS at this moment. Save the 40 million, put it into your legacy, vendor, whoever it is. I don't know who they would have. Improve your CRMs, improve your LMSs, improve your SISs. Get yourself.
Get ready for the future of work, right? All
Yeah,
that.
exactly. I think that's the piece that I think schools are struggling with, because they immediately think I got to put a software in and it's going to solve my problems. No, it's not. It's only
Mhm.
going to create more problems because you actually are picking something that you don't even know what you're trying to achieve. So what happens here, and I have a post that's going to be coming out, like it's about, hey, it's go live. Where did your money go?
Right.
And the reality of it is they can't answer that question. Why, Joe? Because they never put metrics and measures to determine what that outcome is. They just said, oh, we're going to get a new student system and it should give us a modern experience. But you've never defined what modern is.
Matt, is there situations where a school may have done some of the visioning right? They had big outcomes in mind, but for some reason, once the vendor was hired and once the implementation partner got hired, those conversations got sidelined for the project plan or the work sets or whatever you want to call it, right? That took over all the conversation. It sucked up all the oxygen, and now
They
no one's talking about the important stuff.
They outsourced the strategy to the vendor, to
Hmm.
the certified vendor implementer, right? And in both cases, as soon as you outsource it, you basically are handcuffed to the strategy that they want you to be. And what is their goal, Joe?
Fast as possible.
Fast as possible, put the software in, right? They don't really care if continuing ed needs to be integrated, because that's where blended credentials are going to come from. They don't understand that they need to get to anytime, anywhere. Why? Because their software only does term-based enrollment, right? So as soon as you outsource it, you've now lost control of it. There's no savings in that. And they're going to tell you, we could put this in. Hey, fill out these worksheets,
Right.
workbooks. Like, just think about it. We're in 2025 and people are telling them, fill out a spreadsheet to put
Right.
in my configuration. Hello? Like, I'm almost kind of like almost cringing, because that's what the kind of BS that we would have tried to do when the
In the
software was not
90s.
even there
Yeah.
in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like, come
Hmm.
on. And we should be thinking about this in a much different way. So I'm at a point where you have to own this. And sometimes owning it means that you do it on your time,
Hmm.
not on the vendor's time, not on the SI's time, not the vendor's going to give you a discount on a license fee. We're
So
going to get
sign up
you there.
today.
Sign
Yeah.
up today. Like, just think about that statement. You're about to go put in a software that's going to run your campus for 10 to 15 years. And you're then going to get on a timeline because you're going to get a discount. That's the savings that I'm like,
That's
it's the
not
wrong, it's the
savings.
wrong
Yeah.
place. And this is to all my presidents. As soon as you see a CIO saying, "Oh, we're going to save money. We're going to do this accelerated. We're going to do," you have the wrong person leading you. Because as soon as they have this conversation, we're going to do student transformation. You're going to do transformation, and then the first conversation is, "Well, we got to go do HR finance." Well, do you really need HR finance? Like, I'm not even telling you that you should do it or not do it. I'm not even saying it. I'm saying there is a cost in the approach that you're about to go take. If you need to do HR finance, I'm not against it. But recognize
But
that
it
your
can't
student,
be. Yeah.
yeah,
But the student transformation has nothing to do with that.
has nothing to do with it. Do it on a
Yeah.
separate track, track it accordingly. Make sure your student people are involved in it so that integration points are there, but don't be handcuffed by it.
Yeah.
You still have a
That makes sense.
transformation that you need to happen. And when we think about, when you're saying, I want to save money, the first thing I realize is they actually don't even understand the real value of what they're trying to achieve. It's a 15-year system you're about to go put in, and you're trying to save a 5%. That 5% is going to cost you. millions more.
It's well said. So, in kind of summary, the big takeaways are if you're the president, executive sponsor on the leading committee, the leading working group assigned to big technology, whatever it is, we kind of focused on SIS, but it could be CRM, it could be whatever. The first question is, what are the outcomes we are looking for? List those. And then ask yourself, are these cutover outcomes, like just more legacy stuff, or are these transformational outcomes?
Yeah.
If they're cutover, follow the old school roadmap, but don't be surprised if you're spending 2 times more than you originally budgeted for, right? But if you listed transformational outcomes, like this is going to be completely different, this is going to be better, this is going to be amazing once we're done, then you have to do a bunch of pre-transformation work and thinking and planning and strategizing and re-engineering before you even find a vendor.
Yeah.
And then once you're ready, bring in the vendor and say, this is exactly what I need. And then let them do their thing. And if they offer you discounts to sign up early, it's a red flag. Not that they're doing anything wrong, but it's a red flag if you sign on the line because you're probably not ready. You're signing just to save the 5% like you talked about, and will likely spend millions on the back end just to have saved the 5% up front because you weren't ready.
It could be 5%. It could be 25%, Joe.
Whatever it is, it's pennies on the dollar compared to what you'll spend later.
Yeah, just think about it. You go to a store and they're like, we got a 50% off, but the marking price is way above it. Are you really saving money?
Yeah.
I mean, just think about it, like logically. When you're signing up for savings, you're actually forgetting what the value is that you should be looking for. And that happens with real leaders thinking about this conversation, taking time, having the due diligence, not following trends because someone else is doing it. You have to start doing your own due diligence because every school's strategy, Joe, is going to be different. Their investment is going to be different. The people in their offices are different. People have different skills. You may need someone to come in and help you do certain things, but not other things. Your technology may not be ready. So a lot of times this is a conversation I have is, what do you really want out of it? And then let's think about it. And let's think about the technology. Let's think about the people. Let's think about the processes, what I now are using the word workflows. Like, what do you really need to drive? Stop trying to save money. And I'm not telling you to go spend more money. I'm telling you to stop.
But don't use saving money as the reason to pull the trigger on something, which typically is prematurely. Matt, in a follow-up conversation, maybe some point in the future, I want you to take on the procurement process, because a leader listening to you may go, hey guys, I get it. We've made some mistakes that you've pointed out. And next time we're going to course correct, or thank you, we're not going to make those mistakes in the future. But we are hamstrung by how procurement is today, right? This low bid, get it. So I'd like to take that on in a separate conversation with you. How do we transform procurement so that it's not getting in the way of leaders doing what they need to do, which is make good decisions and be good stewards of the money that is assigned to them?
Procurement is one of the big flaws in higher ed.
All right, we'll save that for next time. Until then, see you all next time. Thanks, Matt.